Welcome to the T-Town Talk podcast with your host, Luke Breuer. This podcast covers everything sports-related at THS and around the state of Kansas. Our first segment is basketball. Last week, the basketball team had 3 games. On January 13th, they traveled to Pleasant Ridge and secured the win 74-62. Our top performer from that game was Lachlan McRae with 16 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists. Jason Byrne also added 11 points to the team and shot 3 for 4 behind the arc. On January 14th, the very next day, they hosted the Paola Panthers, a league opponent, and went into double overtime. Sadly, the Chieftains did not come up on top, and they lost 82-72. A top performer from that game was Lachlan McRae with 22 points, 4 assists, and 6 steals. With the loaded week and 3 games in 4 days, they traveled to Spring Hill on January 16th and sadly lost 57. This week is the annual Tonganoxie tournament. The first game this week is January 23rd, where the boys will play Schlegel at 7:30. They will also play January 24th and January 25th, and times are to be determined as it depends on how they play this week. All the games are home, and make sure to come out and support the Tonganoxie Chieftains boys basketball. So far this season, the boys have already played 9 games, and the stat leaders in the 3 major stats are as follows. Points per game is Lachlan McRae with 11.4. Rebounds per game is Town Langford with 5. And assists per game is Noah Carlton with 4.5. Our next segment is wrestling. For this segment, I'll be passing this off to my co-host, Lachlan McRae.
Thank you, Luke, for having me. And today I'm going to start off with the Baser Bobcat Invitational that the boys just wrestled at their last tourney. And for the boys' side, Brody Starcher coming in 5th place there with over 30 teams. Am I correct?
Yeah, about 32, I think is what it was.
And you had to wrestle to make a bracket is what I heard, and these boys all did phenomenal in what they did. Tyler Chris also coming in 5th place. I'm pretty sure he's ranked in the classes. Am I correct on that?
Yes, he is.
Okay, very talented wrestler. Brady Martin, I'm pretty sure he's number 2 in all classes. I think maybe the favorite to win in 4A this year, but he kind of wasn't feeling too hot. He picked up his 100th win at the Bobcat, so very good for him. He came in 4th. And then a guy that we need to put more of a name on is Silas McCoy, the freshman, who has just been dominating everywhere he goes, and he came out with the 3rd place finish there. Now for the girls, Grace Steen hit her 100th career win as well, and is respected as number 2 in her weight class in 4A, so she's great, ranked and great. Good for her. Autumn Wilson, the junior, also having a great year so far, winning her last tourney and being number 3 in 4A, which is very impressive for her for where she's at in her weight class. It's one of the most loaded in the state is what I hear, and hopefully she can keep doing what she's doing. Now the girls are number 1 as a team, and they're looking to make a role in the state championship and, keep doing what they're doing down there in Salina.
Yeah, going back to the boys as a team, the boys are currently ranked 4th in 4A, and they continue to get better at every tournament. And they're not just playing in just, okay tournaments or teams they know that they're beating. No, they're going to tournaments where there are some of the best teams, and not just Kansas, but Oklahoma, Iowa, Missouri. Yes, they're getting better every single tournament. And they will definitely have a couple of guys wanting to compete for that state championship in Salina.
Yeah, I think a couple of the guys, like we mentioned, Brady Martin, Silas McCoy, Brody Starcher, who hasn't had a great luck there, but I think this could be his year to turn it around, as well as Tyler Crisp.
Tyler Crisp is probably one of the bigger guys. He moved up to 1st in 120 this past week after his performance at Baser, and also moving up in the rankings is Silas McCoy, the freshman. He finally got ranked all the way up at 4th in his weight class 4A.
Yeah, these guys are impressive to watch, and can't wait to continue and see their journey.
Welcome to the newly added Sports in Kansas segment of the podcast. This segment will consist of college feats, accolades, things like that, of teams and athletes, all the way up to the professional level of accolades and great things they have done from people in Kansas, kind of put their perspective on their sport that they play at what level they do it at. Now we're going to jump into the Sunflower Showdown. This game occurred on January 18th, the annual KU versus K-State. Everybody hates each other. This is the biggest rivalry in the state, of course. And this is KU sport basketball. If you didn't know, if you are living under a rock. KU is the basketball school. K-State's the football school.
KU's on the up and coming, though, for this football program. Just watch out, Brew.
Leipold's got them in a great position. But we are in the off-season. KU's always in the off-season. They are never in season in football. But let's go back to the Sunflower Showdown on January 18th. KU was off to a very hot start. I think the game got up to 14-2 early, within 4 minutes, and Kansas State just looked horrible. Couldn't make a shot. But the Wildcats fought their way back into it. First half, Wildcats were down 16, but came out of half booming. Got it all the way down to a 6-point game. But like always, the Jayhawks, they make it a little bit, of a bigger win than what it really was. Because that's just K-State basketball at the end of the day. Just not great.
What I see with KU, though, is they like to make all these games way too close. They just kind of play with their food, and then they kill them. But K-State in that second half, like you said, they came out exhilarated and ready to play. I think Jerome Tang lit a fire under their ass.
I could definitely tell that there was a different motive offensively, that's for sure. Instead of just settling for three, they wanted to drive to the rim, and they wanted to work for their buckets, which, made the game a lot closer and more entertaining to watch as a fan. But sadly, Kansas State came on the losing end, and KU defeated the Wildcats 84-74. And a great Lawrence High native, Zeke Mayo, for the Kansas State Hawks, the star who has broken out this year. In the Sunflower Showdown, he dropped 24 points. He had 5 assists and was 4 for 7 behind the arc.
Very efficient.
He's been great for the Jayhawks all year long.
You wish he was a Wildcat.
I do, but he's been very great for the Jayhawks all year long. A guy they can really rely on offensively. To look at a team perspective after the game, KU is ranked 12th in the nation, and they are 13-4 with a 4-2 Big 12 record. And Kansas State drops to 7-10 and is 1-5 in Big 12 play. The Wildcats have not been impressive at all after winning their first Big 12 game of the season against Cincinnati. They have
very quality team too. That was a big upset.
That was a big upset. They were ranked 16th at the time, but the Wildcats fell off after that and dropped 5 straight in conference play. And KU was looking to win the conference and be at the top, and K-State's on the opposite end where they are at the bottom of the conference and they're just trying to scrap for wins to see if maybe they could pull together a tournament resume, but it's looking very unlikely for the Wildcats.
I don't want to be too harsh here on your Cats, but I really do think the only way they can get in is if they win the Big 12 tournament and get that automatic bid, which is going to be a very tall task with Houston, Iowa State, Baylor. You're probably going to draw one of those top 4 teams because of how bad you guys have been playing recently.
The reality of the Wildcats is, yes, they have to win that conference tournament because your 2 options right now are win out, which are very unlikely, and even, if you win at least half your games left, you're still at a below 500 record. So, you got to win the tournament.
That's a wrap for our Sports in Kansas segment this week. Now we're going to move on to our next segment.
Our next segment is girls basketball. Girls basketball, their last week went to Pleasant Ridge on January 13th and got a road win, 51-36. The next day, they hosted the Paola Panthers, a league opponent, on January 14th and got the win 47-17. Then on Thursday, January 16th, they dropped a road game at Spring Hill 54-44. Right now, the girls are 6-3 with 2 of their losses coming to Spring Hill and the other one coming to Eudora. The girls have had a very impressive start to their season and continue to build off that in the tournament this week. Their first game is January 23rd against Holton at home at 6 o'clock. They will also play January 24th and January 25th, and the times are to be determined as the times rely on how the outcomes go.
Now, going back to that Pleasant Ridge game that they played, we were obviously there. We played after. And just watching that game felt like the girls were up more than they were. I don't know if you felt the same way, but to me, I felt like Pleasant Ridge was just kind of hanging around that 10-point mark for forever, and it was kind of getting a feeling of a trap game until the girls said, no, it's our time to stand up, and we're going to put an end to this and just end them right here, and then eventually winning by 15. I'm pretty sure, is that what it was? 15 is what it was. I don't think the game did not go to a double
point lead until the third quarter. So, yeah, I can definitely see where you're coming from. It definitely felt like Pleasant Ridge was hanging in for way more longer than they should have, but the girls still got the 15-point win on the road.
Yeah, and then Tuesday against Paola the following day, they took care of business early and quick, and they said, this is our time to shine. We want to run the league. The league wants to fear. When you see the name Tonganoxie, you want to be like, I don't want to play those guys. And I think, or gals in this case, sorry. But I think the girls have done a great job with Coach Austin Eckert, and I think they're going to continue to get better as they have no seniors on this roster this year.
Yeah, this is a young group, coaching-wise and players-wise. Obviously, as you said, no seniors, a very great group of juniors and sophomores on the team, even a couple of freshmen getting into the varsity games at times. But, yeah, Austin Eckert in his first year off to a 6-3 start, and you can tell he wants to succeed. He wants to win early, and just a great start from the girls so far, and definitely looking to still win more games and potentially go to state this year. Thank you for joining this episode of T-Town Talk. Make sure in the next 2 weeks to check when the next episode comes out and make sure to give it a listen. Thank you for listening this week, and that's all we have for this episode.